everyone. Good to see you. Welcome to Morning Drive on YouTube. Glad to have you with us. Well, 2019, it is soon coming to a close, so we're taking a look back at the decade in golf as we witnessed unbelievable performances from some of the greats in the game. But who was the player of the decade across all tours? Paige McKenzie, kick us off.
That is a very easy answer.
Oh,
Is it?
wow.
It is Bernhard Langer.
Wow.
Oh, without a doubt, unequivocally, period, exclamation point, Bernhard Langer. This is a player that has dominated the PGA Tour champions, 5 Charles Schwab Cup trophies in his trophy case, and that doesn't even include 2017, in which he won 7 times that year, and it was stolen away from him at the end by Kevin Sutherland. But if you look back at his decade, 32 wins, he's won at least twice a year since 2012. And one of the more amazing stats that I found to be is that in 210 starts, he finished outside the top 25 only 16 times. Just consistency, consistency, consistency.
It is really remarkable considering what Hale Irwin did, and now we have another dominant player on PGA Tour champions. I guess the question would be, can he surpass it? He's 5 behind, 40 for Bernhard, 45 for Hale.
I'd say yes. Age is just a number. If for Bernhard Langer, that is one thing that he has proven over the last decade as he continues to fight and claw and stay relevant and continue to win.
He's still fighting and clawing. He is.
The two questions that always come up: can he catch Hale, and can Father Time catch Langer? So far, the second one hasn't happened yet. We keep thinking it will, but I've been saying it for years. After he turned 55, I'm like, well, that's about when players start dipping off. That was 7 years ago, and he's been killing it ever since.
The man is a complete and utter machine, and you wonder, how has he been this dominant for this long? And it is a question that I don't know the answer to. Where do you think he has got this longevity from? What's the secret?
He doesn't make any mistakes. He doesn't beat himself, and he still manages to get the ball in the hole, and that's what it is. It's about this will to score. It stays in, ball in front of him, and then able to make a few putts here and there, and it's pretty amazing.
He's also been relatively healthy throughout his career as well. There's good genes at play, I think, when you talk about someone who's still winning into his early 60s, as Bernhard Langer has been able to do.
What do you reckon? Player of the next decade?
For Langer?
I wouldn't completely rule it out.
I'm done betting against Bernhard Langer. I'm sorry. He's just too good.
He still manages to pop up every now and then and get the Masters as well.
I know.
Yes, why not?
Wild.
Third green jacket?
Yeah.
That'd be something.
Great choice, Paige McKenzie. Okay, Robert Darwin, who's your player of the decade?
Well, I'm going with a repeat player of the decade because the last decade, 2000-2010, he was so dominant, but I think it's still Tiger Woods. I know he didn't play the same style. It's so. The same style of golf, the dominant force he was from 2000 to 2009. But his impact on our sport was so incredible that it's hard to put a number on it. You do look at the amount of wins. Rory and Dustin have 18. Tiger has 11 in this decade. They've got more majors. But did you see that 103 weeks at number 1? He's still got the most weeks at number 1 in the world, but mostly it's the importance that he gives to the PGA Tour and to golf and how he legitimizes this sport to other sports. People that say, oh, golfers aren't athletes. Tiger's changed that narrative and continues to change that narrative, and he brings more eyes to our sport. He's definitely the most impactful player of the
person of the year.
He's the most compelling player of the year. Or of the decade.
But of the year. The decade is different.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's more about he's been in the headlines for good and for bad in this decade.
But the fact that he ended it in the good with the couple really bad stretches.
He saved his decade, basically.
That just makes it that much more special and important and great what he's doing right now as we speak.
The Masters, let's face it, probably put 2019 in the history books, which it may not have gone down as such an iconic year if he hadn't have done that. What do you think we can expect for the next decade of Tiger Woods?
Ooh, that's a heady question. Much of the same, at least for the next few years, as long as he stays healthy. I think we've seen evidence of his incredible play over the course of this fall, even. Zozo Championship, down to President's Cup, where he was playing so great. What I find funny is if you look back on this decade and you look at the 2010, then you look at 2019 and didn't know what happened in the middle, you'd be like, well, of course.
Yeah.
He's back.
Yeah.
Winning at Augusta.
The only way he tops this season with the Masters is the 18th major win. That's the only thing that could be as big as what he did at Augusta this year, and he's got a little ways to go before he gets there.
A couple more majors wouldn't be enough? Just 16 and 17, a PGA and a U.S. Open?
A PGA and a U.S. Open would be incredible, but it wouldn't quite live up to the Masters, what he just did. And the only way to live up to that again would be to get number 18 at one of the 4 majors.
You know who's lived up to everything in this last decade? Inbee Park. She's my player of the decade, and I don't think it's close. 18 of her 19 LPGA wins in this decade. 6 of her 7 major championships in this decade. 106 weeks at number 1 in the Rolex rankings, and that iconic 2016 Olympic gold medal, despite the thumb injury that had cost her precious practice time, had her criticized in South Korea media, saying she's taking a spot from a more worthy player. And what did she do? She goes out and beats Lydia Ko by 5 shots for that gold medal. She does it quietly. She goes about her business, but her play speaks volumes, Paige McKenzie.
She is still to be feared when her name goes up that leaderboard because she knows how to make clutch putts at the end. I remember so many times coming down the stretch where it was Tiger-esque, and of course she's going to make that putt. There's something very amazing about her ability to compete under pressure. It never seems to faze her. Nothing about her tempo ever changes, and she still continues to hit these amazing shots. Never known as a great ball striker, even though she should be. She was always one of the best on the LPGA Tour, but that putter was always just what was so magical.
It was so magical. I mean, she is clutch. The woman is possibly more clutch than anyone else in the game. Do you have her down as one of the top 3 clutch putters across all tours of the game?
I mean, when you think clutch putting, you go Tiger and Nicklaus, but you're absolutely right. There are great putters, the Crenshaws, the Faxons, Lauren Roberts, but only a special few are going to make it when it counts. I'm not talking every day, day in, day out, but when the putt and everything's on the line, she's right there, absolutely, proving it time and time.
There's maybe a better example than the Olympics of what it means to rise to the occasion and to play and perform under pressure. To me, that was probably the best Olympic moment of all the sports that I saw in that Olympics. Obviously, I'm a little biased towards golf, but to have the entire country of South Korea questioning if she should even be on the team, the fact that she had no form whatsoever going into it. She had taken months off because of this thumb injury, played one event in Korea, missed the cut, and these calls for her to be off the team. I've never seen Sae Pak cry, except when she was witnessing Inbee Park do what she did, because she understood the weight that she had been bearing leading into this, and then to be able to deliver a gold medal for her country was extraordinary.
Special athletes use that criticism.
They do, and they can perform. You know, Chris Russo, the famous Mad Dog on radio, says, "Can you do it in a big spot?" Yeah, and Inbee Park, time and time again, has made those putts, has performed on the biggest stages, in the biggest spots in golf. That's my player of the decade, Anna Whiteley. Your player of the decade is?
My player of the decade, and I can't believe he hasn't come up already, but it is the former curly-haired, cuddly Northern Irishman turn golf stud, Rory McIlroy. He is my player of the decade. Why, I hear you ask? Well, very simple, because of his resume. 18 PGA Tour wins this decade, 4 major championships, 6 European Tour wins to go along with that. He added the Players to his name this year, 2 FedEx Cup titles. Only other Tiger Woods has, of course, done that. 3-time PGA Tour Player of the Year. And it's not just the PGA Tour, it's also the European Tour. 3 Race to Dubai's under his belt. He is the head and the heart and everything of what the European Ryder Cup stands for. There's so much about Rory McIlroy, and it's not just his titles, it's what he brings to the game as well. It's his frankness about the most important issues of the game that he addresses, and he wants to improve the game, and he wants to be a role model, and he is a role model, and going into the next decade, as he said, could well be stronger than his 20s.
That would be scary for everyone else if it's better, but he does seem, the way he talks now, the way he's focusing his practice, makes him seem like he's going to be a lot smarter in his 30s, which, you know, his skill level is not going to dip that much in his 30s. So it could be a better decade for Rory, which, again, that should scare everyone else.
You know, and I like that he added in the European Tour success, because, yes, he's been exceptional on the PGA Tour, but when you do kind of add in what he's accomplished on the world stage as well. That's a very good argument.
Yeah,
to be made.
and that's tough. I mean, like he said, which is why he didn't do it this year. This year he had to focus on the PGA Tour because previously he has spread himself too thinly. But the fact he is a global player, that surely adds to his Player of the Decade status.
It really does, and it also adds to his toughness, I think, because he has been pulled in different directions, whether it's in his homeland, whether it's the PGA Tour versus European Tour, whether it's America versus Europe as well. I think he's a global star, a European star, an American star. He's someone who has had a lot asked of him at a young age. Hasn't always made the right decision or the right call, but I do think he's always been true to himself in a big spot. And if he does make a mistake, he kind of has learned from those mistakes, owned up to it. Nobody is perfect, and I think that Rory has grown into this role of being an ambassador and said, hey, in 2013, 14, I was a little bit lost, didn't know what I wanted out of the game, didn't always say the right thing. He pushed back, showed some anger when asked about the Olympics and who you're going to represent. And I think he's just in a happier place, in a more kind of content place with who he is and more comfortable in his skin maybe than he's ever been.
Well, they are 4 extremely strong contenders for Player of the Decade. Let us know if you agree. LT, back to you.
Hopefully we get another decade of golf just as incredible as the one that just happened in the books. Well, if you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure to subscribe to Golf Channel's YouTube page for more and tune into Golf Channel and Morning Drive every day for the latest news around the game.